y'all. So it is Charismacares, nurse practitioner, and y'all know I just jump on these lives, and that's just what I do, because I have to jump on when I have something to say. And right now in Nairobi, I don't know, it may be around 11 o'clock. For you all, it's 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning. However, when something comes to my spirit, I just need to say it. And I know so many of you are thinking right now, I need to get out of the country. And I don't deny that as someone that has gotten out of the country. And over this past week, I've interacted with so many different people, Kenyans, Americans, other people, for other Africans from other ethnicities. And I think what's really come to my spirit today is that I experience a certain level of privilege. And hear me out. This isn't the white, black privilege, the white privilege type of thing, but this is the privilege to have the luxury of being able to leave America, go to a different country, critique the country, because y'all know I'm a huge critic, critique the country, stay or leave as I please. And this is not necessarily a privilege that everyone is afforded. Unbeknownst to me, I had been setting my life up for this level of privilege over the years. And I wanted to take some time to share with you how I set that up, because a lot of people are wondering, what do I do and how do I leave America? And I have to tell you, this is chess, this is not checkers. You don't just one day leave America. There are people that do it, but for those of us that have houses and cars and bills and children and spouses, it's not really feasible to just say, I'm leaving America next month, right? You really need to take the time to prepare yourself. And I think for me, I started telling my family that I was leaving America when my daughter was in middle school. My daughter's now 21. She's absolutely amazing. I love my daughter. Shout out to Nadia. She never listens to me on these things, so it don't really matter. But I started telling my family that when my daughter says the connection is slow. Hopefully this is, you can hear me. I hope so. I know that nobody's on here because of the time, so I'm just hoping. But I started to let them know when my daughter was in 7th or 8th grade that I would be leaving when my daughter graduated high school and got into college. And I identified my why very early. When my son was 7, he was diagnosed with a neurodegenerative disorder. So think MS in children, basically a disorder that gets worse over time. And after sitting with that for about a year or two, I decided that I needed to give my daughter the stability of living in the States, but for my son, I needed to give him the world, because I wasn't sure if later in life he would be able to travel the world and do the things that we come to know to do when we become adults. And for that reason, that was my why in leaving America. Now let's be very honest. I had always planned to leave America at some point. It had always been in my spirit that there was more to life than what I saw in America. And I wasn't one of those Americans that were struggling. I am an American that was making 6 figures, had 2 houses, 2 or 3 cars. I was living the American dream when I decided to leave America. So it's not like I was like, yeah, I'm on this welfare or something like that. No, I was the statistic having my daughter at 18. I got my bachelor's degree. I got married. I had a child with a disability. and still went and got a master's degree in the midst of my divorce and was making hella money. So, and I barely worked. I have never in my life worked a 40-hour work week. My work week was 20 to 30 hours. So I say that to tell you that I wasn't leaving America because I was looking for a dream or looking for a better American type life. That's not what I was looking for. I already had the American dream. I had already accomplished. I was living in the suburbs. So I already accomplished the goals that my mother instilled in me to do. I had already reached and accomplished the stuff that they say that we're supposed to reach for. However, I really felt like I was at a point. I'm gonna move because I don't know if this how good my signal is here. So I want to make sure that I have a good signal. So I'm gonna go in here, and I know my signal's good here. Even though I like it outside, but okay. So, all right, so to continue, I was at a point in my life, in my journey, that most people strive to get to. And this point was in my early 30s. It's not like I'm like 40, 50, 60 years old. This was in my early 30s. And I got to this point and I was like, what the hell is this? There's got to be more to life than this. And this was before COVID. So I want to give you a timeline. There has to be more to life than this. Like, this cannot be the end. There has to be something else. And people thought I was crazy. You know, there was talk of, why would she do this? She has everything. You know, what more does she want? But I don't live my life for other people, right? The only other people I live my life for are my children. So if you didn't come out of this womb, I just don't give a damn what you say. That's just me. And for those of you that know me personally, and those of you that have followed me, you know that's just the way I feel. But I needed more. And when COVID hit, my daughter was graduating. She graduated during COVID. And as we know, that was a very difficult time for children. That was a very difficult time for everyone. And that was the last piece of the puzzle that I needed for my son who has special needs. I needed to, in wanting to leave the US, I needed to know how would he learn. And COVID pushed me into a place that I had to homeschool him. So it was like, well, damn, I guess that's how he gonna learn. I'm gonna teach him. And there were so many different options of teaching. And people ask about it. There's Time for Learning. There's Mia Academy. It's IXL. It's a number of things that you can use. There's curriculums that you can use, or you can do world schooling. And I did a lot of all of it. But prior to that, I had started renting out one of my properties. So I was learning how to do that. I was learning, my stepdad is amazing. He teaches me all the things, y'all. I can get in here, I can snake a toilet, I can take out piping in the kitchen. There's a lot of things that I do know how to fix, luckily, because of him. And I started with the rental. And then I started seeing Black women that were living abroad. I saw Stephanie Perry. It was one lady, I think her name is Paulette. Paulette, I still follow her. Paula. And there's some other people. I saw Asia. She was a single mom with a child with autism. And I started seeing all of these women that were traveling the world. And it made me realize that I wasn't alone in wanting to leave the U.S. These women, they had great jobs. I think Stephanie was a pharmacist. I'm not sure what type of work Asia did, but they had great jobs. And they still felt like something was missing. So when people ask me, how do you make money? Well, I had my rental and I still had another property. And then I started investing in other properties. And these are the things, and I started looking at other investments. And these are the things that shaped my ability to leave the U.S. And it wasn't an overnight thing. I mean, at that point, I had been renting my property for maybe a year or two when I left the U.S. So, and don't forget, I had a great job, and I've always been a saver. So I had, I padded up my money. I stacked my money. That's just what I was used to doing anyway. And I had another source of income. And with that, we started out the journey, just following what I felt like I needed to follow from my ancestors. So we started out our journey in Panama and Costa Rica. And after doing that, I think for 2 months, maybe no more, I don't know how long that lasted, I came back and I decided I was out of here. I decided I was selling my other house, and I no longer wanted to live in America. I had seen that I could do this. Now, I'm not going to say it's easy. It's not for the weak at heart, especially for those of us that jump countries, because I jumped countries for the first 3 years. This is my first time deciding to stay somewhere. I jumped countries. I would jump countries. If I didn't like it, I'd leave in a month. If I liked it, I stayed for 6 or 7 months. And I would experience the cultures and the people and just all of these wonderful things that I got to experience. And it was amazing. And it's a privilege. And, it's only now that I had this on my mind that I realized I have the privilege of an expat. The privilege to go to, when you really think about it, we all have a certain amount of privilege. This is different than the white privilege. I don't want to talk about that, but it's different. Anyway, it's a different type of privilege to say, I want to leave America. Because there are some people that's not going to be able to leave. They're going to have to stay on the ground and they're going to have to fight the fight. But us that leave, we need to remember that this is still our home. America is still our home. When you are done with your journey or when you want to return, I return all the time to the U.S. So I'm not a person that's like, I'm leaving and I'm never coming back. I don't know that I want to live there. But I do definitely come back very often. And I just think it's important for us to know that we're not escaping our home. We may be leaving temporarily, and for some of us, we're leaving permanently, but for most people, they're going to go back to the U.S. at some point. What I want you to know is that I don't want you to abandon everything that you have in the U.S. And I think that's very important. Like, you start to get questions, should I give up my U.S. passport? Well, boo-boo, if you give up your U.S. passport, you're not a damn thing. Because once you leave the States, you are an American. You are not black, you are not white, you are not this, you are not that, you are American. And it is your American privilege that allows you to leave the U.S. and to live abroad and to travel abroad. That American passport is so powerful. It means so much. So I want you to be very, very clear about that, because your privilege lies in that you're an American. It's, when you go to these countries, they wonder, why do you come here? Well, we're all trying to get to America. And, I look at it as though my grandmother was an immigrant. And it was her coming to America that allowed me the privilege to now do what I'm doing. So, I don't know, all of it is very interesting because this country is built on the back of immigrants. But again, another story for another day. But I want you to be mindful that there is a certain level of American privilege when we leave America. We are not identified by our color. Now, your color may get you a little bit more American privilege in some places than others. And it gets you treated a certain way. You know, when I lived in, where did I live? When I lived in, like, let's say Dominican Republic, you know, they would first see me, and then it was when I spoke that their attitudes would adjust. Even here in Kenya, you know, I don't know, Africa's a little funny when it comes to color. They still look up to people, white people, which is very strange. But I don't want to say Africa, at least the countries that I've experienced. So it's very, very interesting. But when you're American, they still look at you a certain way. Now let's be honest. Now that American privilege does come with an American price tag. That's the part that we don't talk about. Yes, you have an American price tag, which means that you are going to get American prices, which can be extremely annoying. That they want to double or triple the price because you're American. Now, be white American, and they're going to increase the price even more. So there are levels to this, and when you leave America, it's something you have to know. But you know what I wanted to really tell you today is that I especially have a certain level of privilege that I have to accept, and then I have to sit with. And it's not a bad thing. Actually, you know, I guess I see why people like their privilege, because it's not a bad thing at all, but it's something that we need to be, it's something that we need to pay attention to. And it's something that we need to realize when we are out here and we're saying we want to leave America. If that is what is really in your heart, and it's not just because you're afraid, let's make an appointment and let's talk about it. Let's book a call and come up with a plan. But I want to make sure that you know that it's not perfect when you leave. If you've watched me on YouTube, I don't really do YouTube anymore like that, but if you've watched me on YouTube, you will see I have had some horror stories. But even with those horror stories, I would not change my journey that I've been on. It has shaped and made me who I am today, and I love who I am today. Even here in Kenya, I've had some issues, but I'm gonna stay here for a little bit. But I think it's very important that you realize that no place is gonna be easy. No place is gonna be a walk in the park. There are going to be some issues everywhere that you go. Are they the same issues I've experienced in America with racism and things of that? No, except for South Africa. South Africa is racist. I don't care what anybody says. But otherwise, no, I don't experience. And I'm not fearful the way that I am for Americans in America right now. So I want you to sit with this. I want you to sit with yourself and decide, do you really want to live abroad outside of America, or do you feel like you need to stay on the ground and you need to fight your fight from there? Because that is our country, that is our home. But I want you to really put thought into this. Leaving America, I love it, it's great. I'm living abroad, I love it, it's great. But there are those ups and downs. So I really want you to sit with yourself and decide, do you really need to leave, or do you need to create a safe place amongst your community where you are? Do you need to unify? What is it that you need to do to continue to feel safe? You know, is this the time where we need to be coming together as a community and making sure that we're speaking with one another and keeping one another abreast of things? You know, I don't know. I don't have the answer for that. But if you do want to leave America, trust me, I am your cheerleader. I've been doing this for 3 years, and you know, coming and going, not always gone. Sometimes I'm there, you know, that's just life. But I think it's so important that you sit with this and decide what is best for you and your family. So you have my link. For those of you that know me, well, I also do mental health, emotional health, and I know people are going through a lot right now. So I do have a class coming up, a free class, dealing with the mental anguish of what's going on right now, along with the mental anguish of the holidays coming up. So I have that class, and then we can always do a breakthrough call. And then if you want to move abroad, we can always schedule a coaching call so we can make that happen. But I just wanted to speak with you all, for me this morning, for you early morning, and let you know that you do have support, and I wish you the best. All right, y'all. Ciao.